Hey, how you doing, everybody? This is Cody with the Blue Chip Podcast. We're going to do a mock draft today using the TDM mock draft machine. We're going to do anything, man. Anything's available to us. We got trades. We got anything that's presented to us. If we find value in it, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do without further ado. We're a week away from the draft, so anything's on the table. There's a lot of smoke screens out there. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different than just probably throwing the same names at you guys that I normally always throw. Of course, I only have a limited number of names compared to, everybody's got their picks. Everybody's got their preferences and players that they like, their skill types that they like. Of course, my picks are probably going to be based on that. We'll see what kind of trades the simulator throws at us, and we'll judge value based on how this thing goes. So, without further ado, man, I'm just going to start the draft and see what happens. The computer will throw trades at me, and we'll go. So the first pick, Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Ahmad Gardner, pretty standard right now. Kyle Hamilton and Stingley are both gone. So, let's see what we got here. So our offer right now from the Bills, pick 25, pick 57 in round 2, and then a 5th rounder. They are just looking for pick 11. So the other offer is pick number 20, a 3rd, and a 4 from the Steelers. I kind of like that. I like adding a 3rd and a 4th. The second rounder definitely is nice. Maybe I can counter offer the Bills since I'm moving back further and see if I can't add. Let's see what we can do here. Let's and a 5th, a 2nd, or a 3rd. Let's decline the Bills offer instead of even trying to go and counter. And then let's see how Pittsburgh does if we come down here and counter offer them. Let's throw the 3rd in the trash. We'll go to the previous screen. Let's throw in pick 52. See what we got here. Send the offer. And we now have pick number 20. So we are going to trade back. I didn't really need to see the 3 players that I probably really was valuing. They were off the board. So we're going to say, I like how it's going so far. We got another trade offer. I'm going to try to keep this realistic, okay? So, we're not gonna work around this draft. We'll see what they're offering real quick before we go down. I can always come back to this and propose the same trade. So they're giving us a 1 and a 3 next year. We're going to decline the Bengals offer. The Seahawks are trying to give us pick number 40 and a 3rd. I'm going to decline that. And pick number 29 and a 3rd, I'm going to decline that from the Chiefs. So we know who they're willing to walk away from. Let's go to available players here. So got Jameson Williams on the board. Let's look at the board real quick. Let's see how that fell to us real quick. Okay, so like I said, going from pick 10, pick 11, the players that I was definitely valuing, of course, would be Ahmad Sauce Gardner. If any of the top edges, Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, the guys that aren't going to fall, the guys that aren't going to be there, if any of them fell, I would definitely consider them. Basically pick 8 and pick 9, those 2 names coming off the board. That's really why I moved back. In that scenario, man, it would really kind of be hard to trade back because, as you go down here, you look at the Saints picking up Garrett Wilson. That's a pick that I probably stick and pick for. I didn't simply because I wanted the extra value. I wanted the extra picks. We're going to there's a narrative on this draft that, there's more of this second-tier talent than there is the top premier talent. So, moving kind of back in the draft allows you to maximize that. Trent McDuffie I really, really like. Daxton Hill I really, really, really like. Either of them guys, would have been, in consideration for me. And again, like I said, Garrett Wilson, that definitely would have been somebody that I thought about. Even Zion Johnson, the pick right before me. So, now let's go here. We got Jameson Williams, their 12th rated player. I don't have him as high. Desmond Ridder is now their 17th rated player. And that's definitely not where I'm going. Now, Chris Olave is definitely somebody that is in consideration for me. We definitely talked about him on the Blue Chip Pod. I have him ranked as a blue chip player. I think there's value right here, man. Pick number 20. You're looking at Chris Olave, his route running skills, his refinement. Trust me, we've talked a lot about Chris Olave on this pod. I think a lot of Washington fans. I'm definitely going to get into this next name, Devin Lloyd, man. There's definitely a knock. Everybody talks about the first round linebacker, and the translation to him, and every time that seems to be a narrative, that always kind of makes me be the one that says, that's probably meaning this guy's going to be the one that pans out. Once something happens in the bust and, you start comping somebody to what's happened before them, that's nothing that they control. Devin Lloyd has no control over, the Zaven Collinses and the Jamin Davises the year before. So you're thinking maybe you don't get that instant impact when you can get maybe a similar level player in the second to third round, maybe a Darian Beavers or whatever. And we're going to get to these names as we go down this board. Devin Lloyd is definitely a guy you got to give consideration to, man. This guy is a hell of a football player. He has all the tools, maybe he's not, the elite level athlete when you're talking about, what Washington did last year with Jam and Davis. We're going to keep going down this board right here. I don't know why we're not scrolling, but, okay, here we go. So, all right, and now that we are here, Treylon Burks, man. Treylon Burks is definitely a player that I would definitely be considering at pick number 20. I know teams have him as basically, he's a weapon. He is a weapon. I mean, you're almost thinking about Treylon Burks as like how you look at like Antonio Gibson or something like that. Like somebody who's not exactly what you're looking for in the stereotypical prototype. They say, whatever his time that he ran a 4.55. I think he plays faster than that. Treylon Burks, maybe he doesn't have the route tree, So, again, you're talking about gadget players. So, maybe you're talking about more of a Cordell Patterson or, you're talking about Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel definitely fills out a role for Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks, his film at Arkansas was definitely good. Definitely had improved quarterback play this past year. That guy Jackson, I think he's going to be a top guy next year, at least in the conversation. Going through the process. We'll see what the season has in store. Andrew Booth Jr., definitely a guy. I kept him just off of my blue chip player list. Apparently, he's also dealing with an injury right now, and that's something that you're going to have to monitor when you're considering, picking a guy at pick number 20. Johan Dotson. Johan Dotson was a player that I think he is blue chip. I think this guy's hands are elite. He's, again, up there with Chris Olave. So, when I'm looking at this, I also, got into the fact Kenyon Green is probably going to be further down this list. I think he might have already been taken. So here we go. I mean, basically, you got Jamison Williams here. You got Trevor Penning next. Desmond Ridder, Kenny Pickett, Chris Olave. Kier Elam was a guy that I talked about on the Blue Chip Pod. Where we're grading blue chip players that we, really, really valued. Nakobe Dean, man. Nakobe Dean is a stud. Does not have the height, weight, speed, man. This guy is small, but, when I think about Nakobe Dean, man, I think about a guy that reminds me so much of, like, London Fletcher. Honestly, man, like, they talked about Ray Lewis back in the day being a smaller, undersized linebacker, but I'm telling you what, man, the way Nakobe Dean hits that hole, for as effective as Nakobe Dean is as a player, man, I'll tell you what, man, I'm not going to make the pick with him right now in the first round at pick number 20, but it's definitely something that you have to keep into consideration. Perrion Winfrey is another guy that I am super, super high on. And again, the other reason that I say, I'm going to wait and see for the second round for Nakobe Dean is because there's Quay Walker here. I really like Jaquan Brisker. He's a strong safety type. He can play the free. He can definitely play the back end. He definitely has coverage ability. I think the biggest thing that I have about Jaquan Brisker picking him right here is I think maybe there's a chance where you have him available at pick 47. Maybe there's a way I want to trade up, from the picks that I've gathered. So we're all going to come back here and we're going to make this pick and how the board fell to us. We are going to draft Chris Olave. Not exactly where I was ideally trying to go. I'm more so on the idea of trying to make this defense, like top this defense out, man. Really give this defense just that last piece, man. But with Andrew Booth's injury, The grades that I have on this cornerback overall, I really think I can get some cornerback depth and some safety depth later in the draft because Kyle Hamilton is gone. I'm going to try to maximize this value right here with going Chris Olave. As I had him as my 8th rated player, he's a weapon that this offense direly needs. So, the picks are going. Devin Lloyd is now gone. The draft log. Let's go back to the draft log, and we'll just see. Lewis Seen was the next pick. Jameson Williams, Kyer Elam, Penning, Winfrey is gone. Dawson is gone. Desmond Ridder went 32. Now the Jets are looking to trade. They have an offer on the table of pick 38 for 47 and a 4. Let's go to counter offer real quick. I'm not Oh, and they want one of my 7s. Let's hide this real quick and let's even see what is on the board here, because if Jaquan Brisker, again, talking about trading up. Well, Jalen Petre's gone. So the fact that Jalen Petre's gone and Jaquan Brisker, this second round has already kind of fell in a way that, is not beneficial to what I was looking for, which is definitely something I was worried about when I took the safety overall. But I'm staring at Nakobe Dean and I'm staring at Quay Walker. We were at pick 38, so there is another 9 picks until I pick again at 47. So the likelihood of Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean falling down there, then you got Christian Harris that's still there, another stud linebacker. Breece Hall, man, just sitting there, man. I'm starting to look at these names, and the names are piling up where I look at value. And, Christian Watson, man, is a guy that I'm really, really intrigued with. And then Matt Corral, man, not going. Tyreek Woolen. Bernard Raymond is he's a guy that's from the overseas program. Man, this guy is pretty good, man. He's got pretty good tape for a guy that's pretty raw in his development as a player. George Pickens is a guy that I am actually very high on. Played in the SEC, man. Was definitely a ball player, man. So you got to think about this, man. Like when I'm looking at this trade, do I really want to move up when, in the next 9 picks are Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker? You think about this as, from a GM standpoint, if you're doing this mock draft, Breece Hall is there. Tyler Smith is a nasty lineman. Then Christian Harris, as I said, Travis Jones, another guy that I'm high on. Christian Watkins, and then, Kenneth Walker. I mean, basically, I can just tell you right now from the Commander standpoint, they have had Kenneth Walker. They've had Breece Hall. They've had Christian Harris in for a visit. They've had Quay Walker in for a visit. They've had Trayvon Walker in for a visit, man. So honestly, man, I'm looking at this and Nakobe Dean, man, and let's go back to the trade and let's resume the draft. And I'm basically skipping the trade, man. Now we're talking about moving back again. You got to field the calls. You got to definitely monitor the calls. Pick 54 for 47 and a 5th. I'm not seeing value that I want there. And then 57 and a 5th and a future 6. We will come back to that. Let's see the names that are on this board. We got Sky Moore. Of course, I just took Chris Olave. Am I really going to go with a kind of a similar player? I mean, honestly, more than likely, I'm not. Again, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this board, man, and Sam Howell is there. It's a quarterback that I'm very intrigued with. It's a quarterback that I really like, man. Honestly, when it comes to Corral and Sam Howell, I would lean towards Sam Howell, even though I really like Matt Corral's mental makeup more than I think I like Sam Howell's. I love Sam Howell's tools, man, and I think for somebody that just has his build and his skill set, man, it's somebody that you're definitely going to have the discussion about if he's sitting there in round 2. The fact that he is still sitting here, I'm going to take the chance of saying he's going to be there later if we're going to cross the quarterback route. Breece Hall, man, this is definitely a guy that I have on my blue chip list. So when you're really talking about value, again, I had I had Christian Harris as a guy that I'd left just off of my blue chip list. He's a very stud linebacker. He's definitely an outside linebacker. He gets lost in coverage a little bit. But again, this is where talking about maximizing value and staying true to your board comes in. There is probably a more likely scenario where Christian Harris is available then there is a more likely scenario of Breece Hall being available at pick 52. It's only, 5 picks away, but it's, got to think into this. How do I maximize this value, man? Again, I wanted to go defense. I had the idea on really building this defense, man. But when you talk about a player that you have as rated as a blue chip player, a player that you would definitely pick in the first round, or his value is in the first round, man, I pair Breece Hall along with Antonio Gibson, along with J.D. McKissick. Breece Hall just gives you another guy, another plus-size athlete, another fast athlete, another guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, another guy that it's just insurance, man. You can never have enough running backs, man. These guys get expensive, and honestly, man, like with Antonio Gibson putting the ball on the ground, we've had Breece Hall in for visits. I'm going to draft that player. That's where I'm going with this. So, again, we'll go back to the draft log, see how this falls, and I'll come back to the Bengals, if there's a trade that I want. So Christian Harris and George Pickens both, went. There is a scenario where I could have doubled up at receiver and picked George Pickens. The value is there. Travis Jones again, inside linebacker from Connecticut. I definitely am not surprised he went in this range, because honestly he's a hell of a football player, really good size. Clearly Sam Howell went. Oh no, Sam Howell is still there. So now that we're looking at the board again, we have DeMarvin Leal, interior defensive lineman, man. Another that would give you, we lost Matt Ioannidis and Tim Settle this year, man. So now you're thinking about depth, guys, man. Second round, you're talking about maximizing value again. DeMarvin Leal is definitely a guy. Daniel Falele, man, he's definitely a big, bruising, huge type of athlete, man. Like he's not, the most nimble of foot, man, but he just engulfs edge rushers coming off the edge. Chad Muma is a guy that I really, really, really like. Dylan Parham from Memphis, man. I watch a lot of Memphis tape, man. I was really, really high on Smallwood coming out that went to the Eagles last year. I was really high on Antonio Gibson coming out. I watched Memphis a lot, man. Their offensive line play is really, really good. Memphis is one of them programs that's really starting to stack prospect on prospect on prospect year after year, man. They're one of them up-and-coming programs. Definitely fun to watch, man. They have a very interesting style of game, if it's something you guys want to check out for next year, man, because they definitely have some players. Kentucky's another one of them with Darian Kennard. Kentucky's got some really good players as far as edge rusher coming out this year. Last year I was high on their corner prospect. I was very high on Josh Allen coming out of Kentucky a couple years ago. And then Brian Asamoah, he's a guy that I really, really like coming out of Oklahoma. Kind of looking down here. I'm not seeing this name that I'm looking for right now. So let me go back to drafted players, the draft log, the always interested draft log. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to find the guy that I'm very high on. Again, this is a linebacker thing. I'm going to get on that defense, man. This is definitely a player where I'm looking at being scheme specific. A player that I feel like has a lot of growth potential. Not a player that you're saying maybe is plug and play year one. Almost going in the same aspect that you talked about with Jamin Davis. So when you think about Jamin Davis, everybody's like, "Oh my God, well look at Jamin Davis's production this year." Well, I'm going to just keep it real. Jamin Davis is going to be fine. Jamin Davis is going to be coached up. Here we go. Troy Anderson, Montana State, man. This guy is a quarterback. This guy is smart. This guy, you can tell he's a little rough around the edges, definitely, but traitsy as hell, man. Fast. I mean, you want to talk about safeties and these height, weight, speed guys, man. This is definitely another guy out of Montana State, man. This guy is a guy that was flying around, man. Going to the Senior Bowl, everybody knew about the Mumas and everybody knew about these guys that were coming out of these programs, man. And Muma from Wyoming is definitely a guy that I have high on my list, man. And just the way that it fell, this is not a reach for me. Troy Anderson is rated very high on me because I definitely value traits and I definitely value the instincts that he showed. The fact that he was a quarterback and a running back playing at Montana State, man. This guy finally found a home at linebacker, man, and he just blew plays up, man. This guy has an NFL body already, man, and I'm telling you just from watching what I saw at the Senior Bowl, man, this is a guy that can play the Buffalo nickel. This is a guy that can play inside linebacker. This is a guy that can play outside linebacker. This is a guy that I look at. I know I can put him on special teams right now. His height, weight, speed, man. This guy ran a 4.39, dude. I'm taking Troy Anderson. This is definitely not reaching for me. This is definitely, just looking at my board and looking at how I got players ranked. This is, what you're seeing up here is their TDN rankings. It's not the rankings that I have, but if you go back to my big board, you ever cross-check anything that I'm saying, man, Troy Anderson, again, it's how you have players rated. It's how, your board falls to you. And just going off of my board, Troy Anderson is the pick right here. So, as we go, I think I traded for another third-round pick as well. So we're going to see how this board falls, see how the draft log goes. We'll spit out some names as they fall. Isaiah Spiller is a guy that I'm just not high on. But again, Chad Muma, that last pick in the second round. Figured the quarterbacks would really start to go third round if they were still there. So, again, just the value didn't meet what I had in mind. So here we go. Man, I must have, I think I might have included a third round pick in my Steelers trade. Maybe I fleeced myself, not going back and doing the proper homework. They want us to move up from pick 113 and let's see what else they want. We're definitely declining that. Jalen Tolbert, man, wide receiver, out of South Alabama. He's a guy that I really like. Kirby Joseph from Illinois, man, he was definitely a guy that I would be interested in this range. Because as I'm looking at this, man, this is definitely a thing where value needs to meet what you're looking for as far as scheme specific. So I have this pick coming up, and I'm pretty sure that I did make sure that I included, the Steelers' fourth round pick. So I have another pick coming up, about 15, 20 picks, whatever this is. Pick 113, man. Let's go to available players, and let's see what we have here. And just going off of what we have, Jelani Woods, man, tight end. Okay, this is something where you say, well, we got Logan Thomas, and we drafted Bates last year. This was the round where I was really, really, really worried. And actually, I see a player here, man, and I know the player that I just picked, and I'm actually kind of looking at this, and I'm thinking about depth and thinking about overall improvement of the team. I see three positions here that are definitely not value players, but this is where you're in the fourth round. Third and fourth round, that's where I'm picking traits. I am not picking for positional need. I am picking the best player, period, that is on my board. And this is where I'm going to start explaining this. Zamir White, I love. Pierre Strong, I love. Jelani Woods, I love. So you're talking about guys right here that, you just have value on. You have high value on. Let's go down here. Let's go to Darian Beavers, man. Darian Beavers, I took Darian Beavers. We have a whole linebacker, and we also need special teams influence. Cole Holcomb needs to be re-signed. I believe that re-sign will happen, but that wasn't something that I was going to bank on. Darian Beavers was actually going to be my pick looking at those names, but I really wanted to explain why I was getting there. I was going to talk about just the traits and the value. Again, this next pick is going to be scheme specific. I could go running back again. That's where I was kind of trying to go before I made this pick. So far, my draft log, if we go to my picks, we have Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State. We got Breece Hall, Troy Anderson, and Darian Beavers. We got two linebackers. Now you're saying, okay, well, you're definitely like focused on getting linebackers on this team. Well, why did you do that? Okay, so Troy Anderson realistically can play the Buffalo nickel. Darian Beavers can definitely play the Buffalo nickel. Darian Beavers can play Mike linebacker. Troy Anderson can play Mike linebacker. Darian Beavers can play outside linebacker. Jamin Davis can play outside linebacker. These are all fast, traitsy guys. Not every mid-round pick is going to pan out for you guys. Maybe one of these guys is a special teams ace. Maybe that's the best that he's going to do. Transfer, if you're looking down the road. You're thinking about, overall improving the state of your roster. Well, you know what? They told us that linebacker was a weak spot coming into this offseason. I just doubled up with two really, really traitsy guys with instincts out the wazoo. And, man, honestly, when Troy Anderson gets his feet under him and gets more comfort in the position, working with two coaches as far as position coaches as a defensive coordinator and our head coach, Ron Rivera, trust me, I got faith in them finding a way between Darian Beavers, Troy Anderson, and Jamin Davis, our first-round pick next year, to make that work and get that linebacker room into a strength. I just turned our front seven into a strength. As far as complementing our pass rush, complementing our interior defensive line play, man, our run game should not be bleeding up the middle anymore. I got fast guys. I got guys that like to hit, and I got guys that are interchangeable. Cole Holcomb, coming up on contract, man, you're going to pay that guy. You're going to give that guy. He's not going to get elite money, but he is the type of guy that you want to build around, man. But you add these young guys with their salary going forward, man, you're really talking about having a really good linebacker room that's young, hungry, and all of these guys are fast and all of these guys are tracy. So again, to the draft log, man, go back to all picks. Velus Jones is a wide receiver that I'm kind of high on. Kyron Williams, man, is an all-around back, but let's get to available players and let's talk about the picks that we're going to make for us. So, Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is a running back that I really, really like from Florida. I can't make another running back pick, even though it is possible I could, look to move on from J.D. McKissick or maybe even trade Antonio Gibson if that was something that the team was concerned about with the fumbling issue from last year. Man, it's not something I'm worried about in this. Again, eventually you cannot stack positions. Like, you can't just, stack positions so much that you're just log jamming and you can't get any of these guys on the field. Jesse Luketa, linebacker out of Penn State, man. Again, that goes back to log jamming the position. Tyquan Thornton. Now this is a burner. This guy ran the fastest time at the combine at the wide receiver position. I could think about getting that speed to go over the top. Now you have Tyquan Thornton taking the top off of a defense. You got Cam Sims playing a little bit bigger role, man. You got Terry McLaurin, who is just like a guy that can do the possession thing. He's route running. It's same thing with Chris Olave, man, an earlier pick in the first round. Ty Chandler, another versatile running back, man, that I really, 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 really like. Then to a guy that I think I was talking about earlier, Luke Fortner. Interior offensive lineman from Kentucky. Love this guy, man. He's big. He's strong, man. He's powerful, man. I always try to, focus on making an offensive line or interior D-line pick, man. At least every year, one or the other, man. You can never have enough trench help, man. Injuries happen at the position sometimes. And honestly, man, we're kind of a little thin behind, as far as what I would say, Jonathan Allen, man. Brandon Scherf just walked. I think that's a good time that you want to really get something because Sadiq Charles is your backup swing. Luke Fortner can come in and he can challenge him to push him in that role. Andrew Norwell's 30. He's on a 2-year deal. He's probably going to see that through. And then, like I said, behind that, man, you're just, you got rid of two guards this year, man. So, realistically, the opportunity is there. Luke Fortner is a guy that I feel like could come in and compete. So we're gonna keep Luke Fortner in mind with this. He's definitely a highly rated prospect. I think what I am going to do, because there is a guy that I like later in this draft. Let's go up here. Let's look, when is our next pick coming? Because I don't think I have a 5. So, this is something where you got to think about, do I have any picks in this range to get a player that I'm looking for specifically? Actually, yes, I do. I got pick 189. So what I'm going to make here as a pick 189 from pick where we are right now, which is pick 138. 159 from 138. In round 4. You know what? We are going to make this selection. As we get back up here, Luke Fortner, let's draft him at pick 138. Again, like I said, I want more guard depth. I want more O-line depth, man. You can never have enough good O-linemen. You see what happens to this team when offensive linemen get hurt. If you don't have young, hungry, athletic guys behind them, man, you're just asking for trouble, man. There's another player that I'm looking for. We're going to see how this board falls. Hopefully I don't see this guy's name because, again, we're talking about traits. We're getting into that part of the draft where traits are important. This is a simulator, so certain teams are going to have certain values on certain players. Certain names have a little bit more popularity than others. I'm really getting into a range right now where I'm getting a little uncomfortable with the belief that my guy is going to fall or be there. Jalen Weidemeyer is not there. Max Mitchell was a guy. He was the offensive lineman that I was thinking about maybe I could actually have fall to me. So I didn't see my guy's name. So here's what we're going to do. And we're actually pretty close. So I might have actually just maximized this pick as far as what I'm looking to do. All right, and let's go. Let's find the player. J.U. Wanye Thomas, pick player number 216. I had him at number 100 on my big board. This player is scheme specific for me. This is looking for that Buffalo nickel. Again, like I said, I could play Darian Beavers. I could play Troy Anderson. I could go with Forrest from a draft pick last year. Again, draft log. Let's go to my picks. So far, what we have here is we have Wanye Thomas. Then we went Breece Hall. Again, another blue chip player, man. So you're stacking 2 blue chip players. Then if you go by overall, like from my big board, Troy Anderson, I'm probably sure you probably have him in the 60s somewhere. They want us to move up for a 6. The Chargers do. They want both of our 7th round picks. This is something that I could see myself doing. We've had some success in the 2nd round. Let's counter offer them to see what's available on the board. Let's hide this. Let's go to draft log. All players from McKinley is not available. That is the only player that I would have actually stayed here for, because that's more of a true free safety as far as how what I was looking for. If Verone McKinley was there, I would definitely make this trade. Actually, you know what? Nope. So Chance Campbell is a player that I'm very high on. Player out of Ole Miss. He's a local guy that's pretty traitsy, man. He's not going to be the fastest guy in the room, but I'm telling you what, when you watch this guy on film, he jumps off the field, man. He jumps off the tape, man. He doesn't have the athletic profile completely all around that, Cole Holcomb had coming out. But I tell you what, when you watch Cole Holcomb play back at UNC, Chance Campbell reminds me so much of him, man. You just see this guy, man. He just jumps off the tape, man. And honestly, he gave Ole Miss's defense, which, was not a defense that I really, really liked last year. Gave them a little bit of attitude, man. Again, like I said, he's just a guy that definitely has the traits, definitely has the makeup, man. And it's just a guy that flies around the field. Again, we've definitely made 2 linebacker picks, so it's not a player that I'm looking to really go. All right, I will go to this trade, and I will make this trade. There's a player that I have not put on here. They've accepted the offer. The Chargers have, so I'm going to go to my 6th rounder. And here we go. So we have Michael Woods. He's a good receiver out of Oklahoma. Again, we talked about Chance Campbell. We talked about Reed Blankenship, man. Reed Blankenship's actually a pretty talented player in this draft. Not a guy that I'm looking for really right now, because I'm going down to a player that really I'm just going to make a homer pick for this. He's a player that I haven't really talked about on the pod at all this year. Let's see. This is a guy that if you like Sean Taylor, of course you're always looking for the safeties out of Miami. This guy's a guy that plays free. Depending on what everybody else has in their thing. I think he plays the back end very well. Has a pretty good 3-cone. Size, 6'3", had really, really, really good freshman tape, man. He's definitely played on, Miami, who's been going through some changes. I'm a Miami U fan, so, trust me, I know what it's like to just watch your team struggle. It's very hard, man. I feel like sometimes I would watch Bubba Bolden, lose interest. But when I think about his traits, man, this guy is definitely a guy that has the traits, man. Again, 6th round, like I said, we're drafting for traits. So let's go to my draft log here, man, because that was definitely my last pick. At least I think it is my last pick. So again, you have Breece Hall, your 2nd round pick. He was a guy that I had rated in my top 30 overall as far as my big board was concerned. I also had a blue chip grade on him. He's only rated down in the 30 because I'm just great. Positional value comes into my grades. Breece Hall is probably not the 30th overall player because, as I said, man, he's a blue chip player in my opinion, when I look at his tape and his breakdown. So Bryce Hall as a second rounder, as a guy that I have a first round lock grade on, is just too much value. We talked about Trey Anderson out of Montana State. We talked about user picks. So here we go. Again, Wanye Thomas, he was my Buffalo nickel, a guy that I really didn't get to talk too much about. We'll save this and we'll just we'll put whatever for the save draft points. Trade. Let's see who they got with their trades. Steelers got Jordan Davis, man. That was a guy that we talked about on the Blue Chip Pod, man. They moved up for a guy. He's a hell of a football player, man. That guy is going to shore up the middle of their defense, man. So you always look at the trades, you look at the value that they get. Darian Kendricks, man, in round 7 is a player that the Chargers got, man. Darian Kendricks is a player that I would have definitely been interested in round 7. I think he has a much higher grade than that, at least on my board. And then Abram Smith from Baylor. The Chargers made out well, man. They got a good running back. They got a good cornerback. I got Bubba Bolden. That was the player that I kind of just targeted it there just to kind of get my draft over for the sake of this pod. But I'll tell you what, man, like when I'm looking across the board, I'm looking at everything that I got, man. Chris Olave, Troy Anderson, and Luke Fortner, man, with my picks, man. I got an interior lineman that, like I said, I wanted to really infuse with my offensive line. Max Mitchell was another name out of Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, man. I tell you what, man, he's a really good football player, man. That was a guy that I would have been interested in had I not gone Wanye Thomas. Again, that's what that was the Wanye Thomas was an original pick. So if you're looking down here, Wanye Thomas, man, that's a guy that plays that Buffalo nickel, man. I remember if you guys check out my big board, he's my 100 rated overall player. He's a guy that is definitely like a strong safety build, man. He does everything well with the things in front of him. As you can tell, man, I really focused on this defense in these later rounds, man. I really wanted to like improve the back end and the middle layer of our defense, man. You look at Chase Young, you look at Montez Sweat, man. You look at John Allen, man. He's leader of our defense, and then you got Deron Payne, man, just an elite level run stuffer, man, who pushes the pocket and gets pressure on the quarterback and still has a pretty good amount of sacks for a specialist in the run stopping department. He's definitely a guy that I really, really, really like. Troy Anderson, man, I tell you, man, like I look at that value, man, and then I think about Darian Beavers, man. These are two stud football players, man, that just attack the ball, man. Running backs do not get around the edge on these guys, man. I think about Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb's speed, man. Every single one of these guys is a 4.4 or lower. Every single one of these guys is an elite level athlete, and every single one of these guys has traits and instincts, and they find the football, man. So I think about that collectively built together behind our defensive front four. I tell you what, man, I'm really liking where that's going, man. I also like Shaka Toney, man, which is why I didn't go with another edge, man. I like Smith Williams, man, the guy that they got out of Baylor a couple years ago in the 7th round, man. He has power, and he actually produced a little bit more than I thought and flashed, when Chase Young and Montez Sweat went out last year. Got some really good, valuable playing time, man. I think he's a good rotational piece, man. You need to see a step up from these guys before you can depend on them. But, you give them that second year, man, because now they got some starting experience or, some rotational experience, man, and they showed some flashes on tape, man. So, it's something that you're willing to, like, say, okay, well, is Chase Young going to get hurt again? Is Montez Sweat going to get hurt again? You hope they don't, You want to see all 4 of these guys stay together, man. But as far as rotational pieces, man, you're putting these linebackers behind these guys. Man, I'm telling you, man, you're putting a lot of traits on defense, man. You're upgrading your special teams, man. I tell you what, man, all these guys from Wanye Thomas to Bubba Bolden to Troy Anderson to Darian Beavers, man, these guys are all really good special teamers. Again, start on special teams, man. Build the nucleus, man. You got a bunch of guys that you have all the traits, man. They're hard workers. You see that attitude on the film, man. Like if they're, if you're willing to play special teams, man, with their traits, in their league and their level of competition, man. We already know I'm high on Cincinnati. We talked about Kentucky. Wanye Thomas was just a guy that just jumped off the tape to me at Georgia Tech with his instincts. Not a guy that I would ever consider putting at single high. He just reminds me of Cam Chancellor coming out of Virginia Tech, man. Everybody's going to say, the Pro Bowl Cam Chancellor, man, you can't comp him to him. Well, no, I can. I can comp him to the prospect. I'm comping him to what I saw from Cam Chancellor coming out of college. Not the Cam Chancellor that was in Seattle playing next to friggin' Earl Thomas, man. Of course, it took him time to develop. Honestly, Virginia Tech is a school that I really, really value when it comes to D-backs because they translate well to the NFL, man, especially those safety, those nickel hybrid guys, man. They're guys that are very effective in the league. Wanye Thomas is definitely a guy that I'm taking that risk on, man. I mean, the value just met the pick, man. The traits and what I have him in my big board. Like I said, I have him at rated 100 on my big board. Pick 189, while they have him at pick rated number 219 on their big board. From everything that I saw when I went back and watched his tape, when I watched him over throughout the season, man, he was just a guy that jumped off to me. Again, if you catch my eye, I'm going to value somebody. Everybody's eye is different. Everybody is looking for something different schematically, and that is where you really think about building the team overall. When I look at this draft, man, I think about getting two really, really stud level players to really infuse and just inject life into this offense, man, to give Terry McLaurin another weapon beside him and the guy that he loves, man. Personally, honestly, I think they're like best friends. So like Chris Olave and then Terry McLaurin out wide with Curtis Samuel. You know, you got Cam Sims as your big guy. You know, you got Logan Thomas coming back from injury. You got Jesse Bates, man, a good sizable tight end with some really, really good, like nasty dog level blocking ability that you drafted last year in the mid rounds from Boise State. Add Breece Hall to that running back room, man. Now I think you're cooking with fire in that running back room, man, with just guys that all run sub fours, all guys that can catch, all guys that are patient runners, two guys that are like plus level blockers in Breece Hall and J.D. McKissick in the passing game. I'm telling you, man, I love that running back room, man, and that really just gives this offense a layer that I feel like they've been missing, and they've been pretty effective with what they've had with, you know, without a plus level quarterback as starting, you know. So like for whatever Carson Wentz is going to be this year, you put some talent around him that really gives him his chance. You're really going to get to evaluate what Carson Wentz is going forward in this season, and whatever happens, man, with him. You have flexibility to get out of his deal. If he balls out with these guys around him, with the additions that I made on the defense throughout the mid-rounds that are going to be rotational pieces, it just allows, you know, the guys that you already have on defense to, like, do their thing and grow within themselves. Then you're adding, like, plus-level depth behind them where, you know, at the linebacker position, we were a little bit weak last year. Man, you saw the weakness last year, and you saw the lack of depth at linebacker position last year if you watched the Commanders. You know, previously the Washington football team, previously the Redskins, man. It's like, you know, there's so much change going on through this Ron Rivera regime, you know, from everything off the field, everything that has just transpired, you know, the injuries and like Montez Sweat's brother dying last year, man. You know, I got Luke Fortner rated high. I think he's definitely in my plus 100, man. So, like, again, value meets the thing. Eye of the beholder, man. I wanted more interior offensive line depth. I valued that a little bit more than the interior depth, even though we just lost Settle and we just lost Ioannidis. Ioannidis was getting up there. Ioannidis had a higher cap figure. I mean, definitely, you know, I think Perion Winfrey was a guy that honestly, like, you know, I definitely would have been high on. And like, honestly, I would have taken Perion Winfrey over Breece Hall in the second round, but he just wasn't available to us, man. So I didn't get to upgrade that defensive tackle like depth. But, you know, that's something that they're going to have to work on. Again, with Smith Williams has the size to line up in there. So, you know, he's played for us at the edge last year. He can rotate into the D tackle spot and, you know, work on the passing downs. You know, it's something that is definitely looking forward, man. You're always going to have holes after the draft. So it's realistically about maximizing the class. Like I said, after the first two picks, man, I'm looking for scheme-specific things. I'm looking for traits, and I'm looking for the best player that I can get. When I look at this haul, I really think that I did that, man. I got a free safety prospect at 6'3" with some size and some traits that had really good tape as a freshman in Bubba Bolden for the Miami U defense when they were looking strong, you know, a couple years ago. Wanye Thomas again, that Buffalo nickel, man. Back up to Cameron Curl. Cameron Curl's an elite level athlete, man, at the strong safety position. He can play the Buffalo nickel, man. Maybe if Wanye Thomas if you know, you start, like I said, it's maximizing the overall talent of the roster. Maybe if Wanye Thomas is a better, pure, strong safety than, you know, maybe not better than Cameron Curl is a strong safety, but if maximizing the overall between the position of Buffalo nickel and strong safety means putting Wanye Thomas at strong and putting Cameron Curl as a full-time like Buffalo nickel where you're basically staying in sub packages as your base defense. I mean, it's like I said, Darian Beavers has the ability to play the Buffalo nickel. Troy Anderson has the ability to play Buffalo nickel. Derek Forrest last year out of Cincinnati has the ability to play the Buffalo nickel. When I'm looking at this and I'm looking at overall, again, maximizing the class, getting the best, and really trying to get this defense to an elite level, man, on all three levels, man. Again, I would have taken Derek Stingley. I mean, I like what we have at corner. I think it could be upgraded if you get a really true number one, even though I do love Kendall Fuller like that. I think St. Juice gets a chance now with this offseason to, you know, show what he's got, man. Can he stay healthy and, you know, not get the concussions and things? Again, that's how this fell. Wasn't exactly, I was going to go trying to go, like I said, I want to go different directions with this class. I feel like I did. I feel like I got to identify things from my big board and put it in with this draft. Again, like I said, there's definitely players that I would have definitely valued at different spots, and, definitely was considering. And I hope it was just educational for you, man. Again, this is the Blue Chip Podcast, man. I had a lot of fun with this. Hopefully you stayed and, tuned in. Hopefully you guys like us and subscribe on our YouTube channel or our Apple podcasts. Again, like I said, man, this is just a week before the draft, man. Anything that we're doing mock wise it's all speculation, man. Like the board's going to fall differently on draft day than it fell here. But if this is what I come away with a week from now, 7 days, if 10 days from now when the draft is over, if I look at this and this was our haul and we made these moves and this is what you told me we did in our draft, man, I tell you, I'd be pretty damn happy. So as a Commanders fan, I'm just going to say that I love this haul. And hopefully, man, when the draft is over next Thursday, in the first round, we get a blue chip level player, man, something that this franchise can be happy about, man. After the last couple of years, man, it's been a lot of punches that we've been taking, man. This team really needs something special to just wrap its hands around, man. With this upcoming season, man, something that wants to get us back out to the stadium, even though the stadium's falling apart, man. Hopefully a haul like this is something that gets us there, man. So again, I appreciate you guys checking in with us. We're going to have more pods. Probably have one the day before the draft for me and Stan do an interactive 1-2 first round. Try to do our most, what do we think will happen in the first round more, and try to make it as close to what actually goes on in the first round as we can. We'll probably have some trades and everything like that. Again, check us out. Thank you guys for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Honestly, we appreciate any feedback or anything. Get us out there. That's what we're trying to do. Hopefully you guys liked it. Thank you. Peace.